So the first one is, what twin obligations does Mandela mention? He has talked about two obligations that we have. So what are these two obligations?
Ma'am, obligation to his families,
Right.
to his parents, and second obligation to his country and people.
Right. So there are twin obligations. One is towards the family, that includes the parents, the siblings, etc. And the other obligation or duty or responsibility that we have, that is towards our society, our country. Right? What did being free mean to Mandela as a boy and as a student? As a boy and as a student, meaning as a young boy. Yes. Was it the same when he grew up? Or when he grew up, then he could understand the meaning different?
Ma'am, he could understand the meaning different of freedom.
Right. So when he was a boy, so what did freedom mean to him?
And freedom, the freedom of achieving my potential of earning.
Do you think as a boy he had this freedom? He didn't even think of that freedom at that time when he was a young boy, right? When he was a boy, when he was a student, when he was a young boy, he thought freedom means moving around, staying out at night, roaming around with friends, celebrating festivals with the family. This is what he thought freedom means. But when he grew up, then he understood that the meaning of freedom was different. And those very activities which he thought that they were freedom, they were actually transitory freedoms for a short while, right? Now he contrasts these transitory freedoms with the basic and honorable freedoms. So what are those basic and honorable freedoms?
Ma'am, of marrying.
Of marriage, okay.
And having a family and have freedoms.
Have freedom to do what? You mentioned earlier.
Ma'am, earning.
Right, that is to earn. Fine. So he contrasts these transitory freedoms with the basic and honorable freedoms, as when he grew, he understood that the freedom means where he and his people, they have freedom and rights to earn their livelihood, to raise their family, and then to build such a society where they live a dignified life. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let us organize the complete answer. Now you will listen very carefully, okay? Mandela as a boy and as a student thought that freedom meant moving around with the friends, staying out at night, and celebrating some activities or rituals, following the rules of the tribe or the society. But as he grew earlier, he realized that these very freedoms were transitory. They were short-lived. They were wasteful because they did not give any permanent results to him. Then he realized that actually he and his people, they needed basic and honorable freedom. With basic and honorable freedom, he meant to say that he wanted a freedom where he could live a dignified life. So he realized that he needed the freedom to earn his livelihood and then freedom to raise a family, a society where he could live with respect and dignity. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
This is very important question. Does Mandela think that the oppressor is free?
No, no, oppressor is not free because he is also locked behind the bars of narrow-mindedness and hatred.
Right, very good, very correct answer. So according to him, oppressor is not free because he is also bound by the restrictions or limitations of narrow-mindedness and hatred. So in this way, he is also the victim of, his freedom is also curtailed. So he also does not enjoy freedom, right? Okay, let's go to the next now. Yes. Why did such a large number of international leaders attend the inauguration?
Ma'am, because now South Africa is a democratic country and have a democratic government.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
And it is a autumn day for the people of South Africa. They got
Yes, Anmol, you are going a little away from this. What was specifically happened that international leaders had gathered to attend this inauguration? What was special about the event? What was the special achievement?
freedom, human,
Okay, freedom. What else?
justice.
How do you find it justice and freedom here? What
Ma'am,
happened?
because before the South Africa democratic country, there was a supremacy of white peoples.
So what would you call this? Supremacy of whites, oppression of oppressed are the blacks. So what do you call it?
It was a racial government.
Racial discrimination. What is that racial discrimination called?
Means doing discrimination.
No. Racial discrimination has one word. I want you to use that word. And more you remember. Okay, I give you a clue. It begins with A. It begins with A and it ends with D. Okay, 2 clues I've given you. So what is that word? Oh, so many times we use the word.
Apartheid.
Yes, apartheid. Okay. So do remember such words. Large number of international leaders gathered to attend the inauguration to support and express their solidarity. To support what? To support the end of apartheid. They had all gathered to express the solidarity and support of all the international countries towards the end of apartheid. Right? What did it signify the triumph of? It signified the victory of good over evil. Right? It signified equality of all the races. Do remember these things. One thing is, it signified the victory of good over evil. Second thing is, it signified the equality of the races, the equality of whites and blacks. It signifies the society where there is no discrimination on the basis of caste, color, or breed. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What does Mandela mean when he says he is simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before him? Do you remember, Anmol? It's South Africa. Africa नहीं कहेंगे हम. Okay. Africa is Hindi pronunciation. South Africa, South America. Yes. So what does Mandela mean when he says he is simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before him?
Ma'am, Mandela means the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of people of South Africa
Mhm.
and their courage, their suffering cannot be repaid.
Okay. No, when he says that he is simply the sum of all those African patriots. African patriots are those who have sacrificed themselves, right, for making South Africa free from this racial discrimination and get equal rights and freedoms to all the people. But what does he mean when he says, I am the sum of all those African patriots? This means, listen attentively, when he says he is simply the sum of all those African patriots, he refers to all those African leaders who had contributed to the equal rights and contributed to the struggle for equal rights and freedoms for all in South Africa. He refers to those very people who had paved the way for Nelson Mandela to bring that equality and unity in South Africa. By giving this statement, he expresses his gratitude. He expresses his gratefulness to these leaders that they were there and they had inspired him. That's why he had joined African National Congress and he became such a tall leader of South Africa. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So when he says of all those African patriots, he is expressing his thanks. He is expressing his gratefulness to these people. Because he said, whatever I have become, it was all because of them. Had they not been there, who would have inspired him? How would he have come to know? How would he have realized that, oh, this is the cause for which he had to support these leaders and he had to carry forward this fight until or unless South African blacks get their freedom and rights. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Would you agree that the depths of oppression create heights of character?
Ma'am, what is the meaning of that depths of oppression?
Yes. Depths of oppression meaning those who have suffered, those who have experienced slavery, oppression, atrocities, humiliations at large, right? Those who had experienced all these greatly. So what he means to say that though unless, I mean that the depths of oppression create heights of character, the great leaders are born of the great experience of slavery, humiliation, oppression, hardships. In other words, hardships, right? So do you think that depths of oppression create heights of character? Heights of character meaning great leaders.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that is very true. How does Mandela illustrate this?
Ma'am, by naming some great leaders who sacrificed.
Right. Yes. He did mention, he illustrated it by mentioning the names of Oliver Tambo, Walter Cicero, and Bram Fisher, Robert Sabakwas, etc. These are the leaders who had sacrificed their lives in the struggle for freedom and equal rights for the blacks. Is that clear? So
Yes.
they had become great leaders. Why? Today, the blacks in South Africa, they are enjoying all freedoms. But these very people whom Mandela had mentioned, they never got equal rights and freedoms. They had experienced humiliation at the hands of whites. And that had ignited that urge to get freedom. And then they sacrificed themselves, then they contributed their efforts, and then only they could become great leaders, and they become the leaders, those who really led the people to fight for their rights and freedoms. I hope you understand now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, can you add your own examples to this argument?
Ma'am, are Indian freedom fighters?
Yes. Our freedom fighters, you see, Bhagat Singh, how did Bhagat Singh become a revolutionary? How did Chandrasekhar Azad become revolutionary? Because they had seen with their own eyes how the Indians, they were ill-treated by the Britishers. Gandhiji himself had experienced this racial discrimination when he went to South Africa. Gandhiji had visited the villages and he found that the farmers had been working day and night in their farms and they had to pay huge amount of taxes to the British government. And they were not even given the actual price of their yield, their crops. So the poor farmers, they had always been poor. Had Gandhiji not seen this, Gandhiji would not have fought for the rights of these farmers. He would not have thought of getting freedom had he not experienced it himself. He experienced so many times Gandhiji, Sardar Patel, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Pandit Nehru, they all had been to jail so many times. They sacrificed the comfort of home. They stayed away from the families for long. And today, after so many years of their death, still they have such a tall stature that their names have been written in the golden words of history. Isn't it? They were unlike today's leaders. Today's leaders had never suffered. They never experienced the hardships which these leaders had experienced. That's why we still adore and worship those leaders. But even a small child criticizes today's leaders. Why? Because they have not become ideal for the people. They are not inspiring. The people don't get any inspiration from them. But the people still get inspiration from those freedom fighters of India, those contributors of India's freedom struggle, who had sacrificed their whole life for the freedom of India, and today we are enjoying that freedom. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. How did Mandela's, see this question, no Anmol, deaths of operation create heights of character. This question can be given this way also, like you are given this statement, that Mandela said that the deaths of operation create heights of character. You can simply be asked to comment, right? When you are getting it, the question, comment, elucidate, explain, elaborate, you are giving the same answer, right? You will interpret the statement. You will give how Mandela illustrated it by mentioning the names of African leaders, and then you will add your own examples of the freedom fighters of India. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. How did Mandela's understanding of freedom change with age and experience?
Mandela's understand the freedom of change with age and experience. When he was a young student, when he was a young boy or student, he thought that stay at uh, stay stay out at night
Right.
and choose where I go is like freedom. But when he was in college, he know and he felt that freedom was not that I was thought. The freedom of earning and marrying and achieving my potential is the real freedom that he not was given.
Right. Very good. Very good answer. Right. So you would say that when he was very well interpreted, that when he was a young boy, he thought that the freedom means simply to move anywhere, to go anywhere, to enjoy, to stay out, and to celebrate festivals and activities, etc. But as he grew as an adult, as he grew older, he realized the actual meaning of freedom. Now the meaning of freedom was changed for him. He thought that the freedom which he thought was actually wasteful time. And then he realized that the freedom he actually needed was the freedom of his right, the freedom to earn his livelihood, the freedom to raise his family, and freedom to use his potential. So that's how, with age and experience, his meaning of freedom changed, right? Okay. How did Mandela's hunger for freedom change his life?
Mandela's hunger for freedom changed his life as it transformed a frightened young boy into a bold one.
Very good.
And he lived as a monk.
Right. How did he live as a monk?
When he left his home without a home when he living.
Right. When he left his home, he sacrificed his family, and he just kept himself away so that he could give his 100% to the struggle for the freedom and rights of blacks. Right? From an attorney, he had become a criminal because he was termed as a rebel. Right? From a fearful man, he had become bold. This is how his goal has changed and his life has changed. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any question where you have any problem?
Ma'am, what is the meaning of attorney?
Attorney is, that those who do law. Right? Attorney is one such a designation, one such post which is given in the law profession, legal profession. जैसे lawyer होता है, advocate होता है, right? वैसे ही attorney भी होता है. Nelson Mandela, he had studied law, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Now here it is a few, not all these exercises will do, the selective ones. Yes, there are nouns in the text. Rebellion, constitution, discrimination, right? You will get such nouns. And if you just see, these nouns have been derived from these verbs. When you add suffixes to these verbs, they become nouns. For example, rebel, L-I-O-N is the suffix which is added towards the end. It becomes rebellion. Do you know a suffix and prefix?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So similarly, constitute is the verb, and TION and ION is added to this as a suffix. E is eliminated, it becomes constitution. Can you think of some more such words, some more such nouns which have been used in the text?
Free, freedom,
Free, freedom, okay. That's right.
human, humanity,
Human humanity is not human humanity, okay. But you see that suffix has not been added to this. Okay, we have to find out such nouns which have become nouns because of adding suffixes. For example, obligation. We have twin obligations. What is the verb form of obligation?
oblige,
Correct. Transformation.
transform,
Right. Demonstration.
demonstrate,
Good. Discrimination.
discriminate,
Imagination.
imagine,
Correct. Deprivation.
deprive,
Correct. And if we say oppression,
oppress,
correct. Very correct. Right? Okay. Similarly, there are many others. For example, I say dictation. Anyway, it's not given in the text, just to make you understand. Dictation. Now, what is the verb form of dictation?
sorry,
Dictation. Dictate.
okay,
Right? Dictation, dictate. Explanation.
explain,
Correct. Interpretation.
interpretate,
Interpret.
inter
Okay. You will find many such words. Next time, whenever you come across such word, just stop and think about it. Okay. Yes. Now let's see the second exercise. Now here what it is, in the brackets, there are the verb forms. Right? There are the verbs and you have to use their noun forms. Just browse it. Better it is that you read and you keep using the correct form of the word given in the bracket. Yes, Anmol, read.
Martin Luther King's contribution
Mhm.
to our
Right.
history as
Yes.
an outstanding leader began when he came to the assistant
Assistance.
assistant
TANCE. Right? Okay.
of Rosa Parks
Mhm.
as seamstress who refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white passenger. In those days, American blacks were confined to positions of second-class citizenship by restrictive laws and customs. To break these laws would mean, ma'am, what does it mean?
Subjugate. Subjugate. Break these laws would mean subjugate and humiliate by the police. Subjugate meaning capturing you, holding you, not giving you freedom, sort of enslaving you. Yes,
Subjugation
correct, very correct, good.
and humiliation by the police.
Humiliation. Say again.
Humiliation
Correct, very correct, good.
by the police and legal system.
Right.
Things
Mhm.
imprison um,
Yes.
what is the noun of imprison?
You just try this. You are not supposed to add ION. Anyway, let me help you this way. So just think of another suffix. Anmol, you can.
Imprisonment.
Very good. See, this is confidence. Okay. So be confident that you can do it. I hardly tell my students the answers beforehand. Yes, wonderful. Okay, carry on.
And sometimes death awaited those who defied the system.
Mhm.
Martin Luther King's tactics of protest involved non-violent resistant
Resistance,
resistance.
right? Resistance. Resistant becomes adjectives. Okay, so here it is resistance. Anyway, a good attempt, very good. Keep making such efforts. Second is simply articles. You can see yourself. Okay. Yes, now this is important. Here it is idiomatic expressions. Idiomatic, I always make the children do because you see that usually you, the children, get confused when you come across these because you people are not very much used to reading. You do not read. That's why you don't know the idioms. Yes, here in the A column are given idioms. In the B, their meanings are given, right? So you have to match the meanings. I was not unmindful of the fact. Not unmindful of the fact meaning.
Make me remain without complaining.
No, there are given three multiple answers. You have to choose one out of these in the B column.
Okay.
Yes. Each idiom has three meanings. Okay. You have to choose the one the most suitable. Yes. Had not forgotten, was aware of the fact, or was not careful about the fact, or forgot, or was not aware of the fact.
Had not forgotten.
Yes, that's correct. Not unmindful meaning mindful. So that means aware of the fact, right? Yes, next. When my comrades and I were pushed to our limits. Yes, the three meanings are given there.
Felt that we could not endure the suffering any longer.
Right, correct. To reassure me and keep me going.
Help me continue to live in hope in this.
Right, correct. The basic and honorable freedoms of earning my keep.
Earning enough money to live on.
Right, correct. Very correct. Okay, now here it is. Just that's all.